branches of news now because everybody's on the internet and everybody wants to be ahead of everybody else. So now we have to do all this speculation. They may be thinking at the Pentagon about tactical nuclear strikes. Well, I presume that's probably true. I'm sure there are people at the Pentagon, when they're doing their tabletops, who believe the bunker bombs would do the job. And I believe there are people at the Pentagon who believe, I don't think, Colonel, that'll do it. I really think, sir, that that we would probably have to drop a tactical bomb. I'm sure that discussion is occurring. Does that mean that the president is about to drop a tactical bomb in Iran and that there will be boots on the ground in Iran following that? There's no evidence of that now. It might occur, but there's zero evidence of that. Zero.
Agree. I agree, and I never suggested that. I was speaking to Dominic's assertion when he was talking about the fact that there won't be boots on the ground. There won't be boots on the ground, and I'm saying that perhaps not only are there going to be boots on the ground, but this is really war we're talking about.
We know that it's war. We know that it's war. We know that it's war.
All I was saying. And feel me when I say this, Gary. I have a 21-year-old son who I raised as a single parent who is on the spectrum. Put yourself in my shoes. He's not in the military, but just the anxiety. Like I look at the United States, and again, like I was alive during 9/11. I went to college with people who were in Iraq. I saw them come back and how they were, and how they felt about their time in the service, and the injuries and things they had to deal with, the ones that did make it back. And yeah, I think that a lot of people who are also in the MAGA movement had those same experiences.
Okay, and so do I. But I saw the Twin Towers fall. I was on the air live reporting them as they fell. So I had my share of trauma as well and anxiety, especially following that. And I'm right next to a prime target. U.S. Naval Weapons Station, Earl, is where I live, right next door. So it's a prime potential target. So, of course, I understand anxiety. We all have our own experiences. They're all different. But I'm sure everybody here who was alive on 9/11 carries anxiety with them. There's no question about that. But that does not mean that there are going to be boots on the ground. Look at the military movement into the region right now. It's air and sea support.
Gary, you know what?
Hold on, well, let me finish it. It's air and sea support. Do we see ground troops being sent in? Do we see amphibious landing craft being sent in? No. And by the way, I heard a great interview with someone who was, I think in the Biden administration, who said that there was a crisis involving Iran, and they moved a carrier group just offshore, with no intention of attacking Iran, but with the intention of sending a signal to Tehran. By the way, if that's the question. I know I'm just saying it to her if she was removed by someone else. I think maybe she left on her own. But there are no infantry troops being moved into position. And yet we have all this screaming and hollering, we're going to get into a quagmire. Well, maybe we are. And I hope we're not. But there's no indication that there is any intent to do that. Unless, of course, the government is absolutely bold-faced lying to us, which is a possibility, that the president, even though he's been this big non-interventionist, even though he's degrading our troop strength in support of NATO, all of that, even though he's not providing the kind of support that the neocons wish that he would for Ukraine, all of that, maybe his hidden agenda is to go turn Iran into the 53rd state. 51st being Canada, the 52nd being Greenland. I don't know. Do we give up on the Panama Canal? And then the third one being Iran, with a little nod to turning Gaza into Trumpville.
So there is a more comparable use of B-2s, at least. During the Biden administration, on Biden's way out the door, he ordered the use of B-2 Spirit aircraft and bunker busters, GBUs, to go after the Houthis. And it didn't go to Congress, and the Gang of Eight, as I understand it, may or may not have been briefed. I don't know about that specifically.
Probably were.
They were? Okay, good.
I said probably.
Probably. Well, my point is that the aircraft were used, and we've been, the Biden administration had been targeting the Houthis directly for at least a year or so under the Biden administration, and we didn't get into a quagmire. And Biden could be argued to be more of the Washington consensus candidate than Donald Trump is, meaning he could have been more amenable to intervention than Donald Trump seems to be.
Can you mention that John
now, I just think that's an interesting thing to compare, noting that the strike on Yemen as a sovereign country, even though, as I understand it, the country is in the middle of trying to figure out what the leader is.
Come on, do it. It's Friday.
There seems to be the use of U.S. military assets in that way, and it was okay for Biden to do it, and now it's not okay for Trump to do it. I'm not a giant Trump fan, but as Anson would say, the great divide when it comes to military power is really destructive for U.S. national interest, in particular the comparison, whether it be left or right. As Anson said a couple days ago, politics really should not enter into discussions like this.
Right. Okay. And also, at this point, I know there's been a lot of back and forth, which I contributed to, but we're going to move right along because it's 6:18, and I got to get out the door to go to work. So let's move rapidly now, and we will now go to, we have two Davids on the stage now. David G. And David G., I want to give you the opportunity to clarify, because I think you believe I misinterpreted you yesterday when I cut you.
Yeah, just real briefly, I just wanted to say how it sets a dangerous tone to leverage, religious positions with regard to international affairs and use of military might. That was kind of my general point there. We have people of all faiths, all stripes, atheists that serve in our military around the world. This should be about the sameness of the decisions and what's best for the American people, what's best for the state of Israel, the world at large. And I think we need to focus on the human side of things, not necessarily look through the lens of whether or not God is watching us and picking who chooses to win or not. So I hope that clarifies my point. So anyway, I think Israel needs to really evaluate this decision. I think diplomacy is the way to go. I think while taking absolutely serious the threat of Iran's ability to further enrich, I don't think bombing Fordo is gonna necessarily stop them from. First of all, they need to find out where all the enriched uranium is, and so long as Iran can hide those capabilities, the repercussions of bombing and further inflaming the area has a lot of unintended consequences that I think the United States people are willing to engage in. And I think what they need to do is go around and pull, ROTC bases and the military. The name escapes me. and start asking the people in the military, are you willing to go to war over there? And I know you mentioned, Gary, that this may not involve boots on the ground, but let's just say Iran attempts to inflame with asymmetrical warfare.